Leads out of turn. Opening leads out of turn, or loots, are commonplace. However, if everybody followed the rules set out in the law book, they would never happen. The reason for that is simple. Opening leads must be made face down. It is then only turned over when your partner has said thank you or something similar, indicating they are ready for the lead to be made. If it is not your turn to lead, your partner, or indeed the opposition, can say no, not your lead, and you put that card back in your hand. While the card is face down on the table, that is a chance for your partner to ask any questions they might have about the auction. If you have any questions yourself about the auction, they need to be asked before you put your lead face down on the table. Your partner may not ask any questions before you place your lead face down on the table. It is important to remember that once you have placed your card face down on the table and it is actually your lead, you cannot change it. You may have placed your card face down and partner then asks a question about a bid. The answer makes you think, oh bugger, I should have asked that. I don't like my lead now. Tough. You should have asked that question. You must still lead the card you have placed face down. However, we all know many people don't lead face down. They plonk their card face up on the table. If you do this, not only do you risk it being a loot, you deprive your partner the chance of asking questions. Placing your card face down and saying, "Any questions, partner?" or similar is good practice, which I would advise all players to get into. So, you have become declarer and are expecting your left-hand opponent, LHO, to lead, when lo and behold your right-hand opponent, RHO, leads face up on the table. You call the director and the first decision you need to make is whether or not to accept the lead. This decision shouldn't be instant. Assess the cards in your hand, the contract, and decide if accepting the lead may be to your advantage. If it looks pretty certain that it will be, then you should accept it. If you accept it, you now have the choice of placing your hand as dummy or playing the hand yourself. If deciding the latter, it is important to consider the fact that your partner's hand will go down as dummy immediately, so your left-hand opponent will see it too. So when might you decide to accept the opening lead and put your hand down as dummy? One situation might be where your partner has opened with a strong hand and, due to the bidding, you have ended up as declarer. For example, you hold this hand. You've got your 5 spades, the king 7, 6, 4, 3, doubleton, queen 6 of hearts, 4 diamonds to the 10, and the jack 4 doubleton of clubs. And your partner opens again forcing 2 clubs, and you correctly decide to be cautious and respond 2 diamonds with your 6 points, as the queen of hearts is of unknown value. However, when your partner rebids 2 hearts, you now want to tell your partner you don't have complete rubbish, and you have a biddable spade suit. So the auction goes 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 2 spades, 4 spades. Right-hand opponent doesn't follow the rules and leads the 8 of clubs face up. Do you really want to play this hand? You've already told everybody at the table what you have with your bidding. Your partner's hand is less obvious. Maybe they have a singleton or void. By accepting the lead and playing it yourself, you expose partner's hand, potentially making the defense easier. This is a great time to accept the lead and place your hand down as dummy. The 8 of clubs doesn't look like it is going to hurt your side, so this would be a good decision, based on the information you have. Note that even though it is a loot, you are entitled to find out from your opponents what their lead style is for making your decision. Let's change the hands slightly. Now you have your 5 spades to the king, the doubleton queen 6 of hearts, you've got 5 diamonds to the 10 and the singleton 4 of clubs. And the same auction has taken place. 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 2 spades, 4 spades. And once again, the 8 of clubs has been led face up by your right-hand opponent. Now, you would seriously consider accepting the lead and playing it yourself, because there is a chance to discard your singleton. You may have heard people say, the strong hand should always play the contract. My response to this is rubbish. It very rarely makes any difference to the possible result which hand plays it. However, having one hand or the other play it may well make a difference to the chance of additional tricks. So, in a case like this one, you can see a chance to immediately get rid of your singleton. So you should seriously consider the option of playing it yourself. And because your hand is concealed, your opponents do not discover your club is a singleton until later on. Let's change the hand by 1 card, so you now have a void in clubs. So as you can see there, we've still got our 5 spades and 5 diamonds, but we've added an additional small heart. Now the case for accepting the opening lead out of turn of the 8 of clubs is very strong. If you choose to play it, dummy will go down and you'll know straight away if you are roughing or taking the opportunity to discard something to potentially make an additional trick. There is also a strong case for accepting it and having your partner play it, as they can make the rough. Unlike the previous example, your opponents are going to know about the void straight away. I see a lot of players immediately accept the loot and put their hand down as dummy. But before you make a hasty decision to do so, assess the options carefully, and if you can see an advantage to accepting the lead and playing it yourself, do so. There will also be times when it is of no clear advantage to you to accept the opening loot, and indeed some occasions when you can see it is going to very likely hurt your chances of making tricks. So, let's look at a scenario where that might be the case and what happens when you don't accept the loot. You hold the following hand: 4 spades to the ace 10, 3 hearts, king 10 6, 4 diamonds, ace jack 5 3, and doubleton king 8 of clubs. Nice balanced 15 points, and your partner opens 1 diamond. You respond 1 spade and partner bids 2 diamonds. You bid 3 no trumps, even though your club hold is tenuous. Once again, your right-hand opponent makes a face-up opening loot, and this time it is the queen of clubs. This is the suit you are concerned about. Your right-hand opponent will 100% hold the jack, very likely the 10, and 1 or maybe even 2 more. The unknown for you is the position of the ace of clubs. If partner has it, not too much of a problem. If left-hand opponent has it, big problem. This would be a time when you would not accept the lead. The lead must then go to the correct hand on your left, and the director will advise you on what you can do. The options you will be given are: 1. That you can forbid or demand the lead of a club from the correct hand. If you decide to do either of these, it is important that you are aware the initial lead out of turn of the queen of clubs will be put back in your right-hand opponent's hand. Or 2. That you can instruct your left-hand opponent to make a lead of their choice. When directing, I always tell that player they must make a natural lead, the one they would usually make based on their hand and partnership methods. The fact that they have seen their partner's queen is what is called unauthorized information, and they must ignore it. They are not allowed to make a lead based on knowing this. If you choose this option, the director should stand behind your left-hand opponent and watch their lead to make sure it is legitimate. In this case, the initial loot of the Queen of Clubs stays on the table as a penalty card, and more on those at a later date. So what would you do with the above hand? Again, have a think about the bidding. What do you know about your partner's hand? They have at least 5 diamonds with 12 to 15 points, and they don't have 4 spades or 4 clubs. You could demand the club lead because now your king is well placed, and you are thinking your chances of rattling off 9 tricks are reasonably good. Surely your partner has one of the missing aces. Maybe they have the 4 clubs to the 9, which will be handy too. If you don't demand the club lead, it is most likely you are going to get a hard lead. Again, your king is well positioned. However, if right-hand opponent has the ace of hearts and left-hand opponent the ace of clubs, you are going to have a problem. The advantage of a non-club lead is when dummy goes down, you will immediately know the club position and can plan your play accordingly. So I personally would be inclined to forbid a club lead, but I can see a case for demanding it too. I should also mention that leads out of turn happen during play as well. If you are a declarer and one of your opponents makes a loot, and it doesn't matter if it was because you won the trick or if it was their partner, you have the same basic options. Accept it and play the next card in sequence. You can do this even if you actually won the trick. However, if it was their partner that won the trick, you can choose to forbid or deny that suit to be led by the right player. If you won the trick and you don't accept the lead, you lead out of the correct hand and the loot stays on the table as a penalty card. If you are defending and the declarer makes a lead out of turn during play, leading from the wrong hand, which is common, once the card is led and calling for it from dummy means it is led, either defender can decide to accept it. So, if you are defending and declarer leads from dummy when they should have led from their hand, and you can see that this is good for you, you can accept it. It doesn't matter if you are second or fourth to play. If I am second to play and my partner says they want to accept the lead, then I personally will trust them and not overrule them. However, if you aren't so trusting, or you just know this is a bad decision, you can indeed overrule it. If you are second to play and decide to accept the lead, your partner has no say in the matter. So, in summary, when the auction is finished, whoever is on lead may ask any questions they like about the auction or partnership agreements. They then place their lead card face down on the table and check if partner has any questions. They should only turn the card face up when instructed to do so. Note that in the event the opposition say to you it is your lead, when it isn't, and you lead face up, this is not a loot. You will be able to pick your card up and your partner is allowed to know you have that card and take advantage of it. Your opponents, however, are not. So my advice here, if you are a declarer, is to be very careful before advising an opponent that it is their lead. When your right-hand opponent has made a face-up opening loot, accept it if you can see an advantage to doing so. Then decide if it is to your advantage to play the hand yourself or have your partner play it. Don't rush this decision. If there is no advantage to be gained by accepting it, you then decide if you really do or do not want that suit led by the correct player and instruct them accordingly. If there is a lead out of turn during play by a declarer, either defender can accept it, but next to play after the lead out of turn has the final decision if they don't agree. If there is a lead out of turn during play by a defender, declarer can accept it or not, and the same options apply to them as if it was an opening lead out of turn. Opening leads out of turn are easily avoided, so please remember to make your opening leads face down and not turn it over until you have had confirmation from your partner that they are ready for you to lead. During play, assuming you are not dummy, if you have oriented a trick one way and your partner or the opposition have it another, you can check before someone leads who won it. This will help reduce leads out of turn during play.